Welcome to Café is for Closers, the show where sales stops feeling salesy. I'm Andres Mego, and every week we break down real conversations, real objections, and real wins so you can turn pressure into partnerships and close more deals the right way. So grab your coffee, aka your café, and let's jam. Welcome, Victoria, aka Piff Mommy, my counterpart, my competition. Dude, it is so good to have you here. I could hype you up for the next 20 minutes, but I would love to pass you the mic and give you a minute to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and we'll dive into this very special and overdue episode on the cafe. So floor is yours, girl.
Thank you. Hello, Andreas. Hello to everybody watching. My name is Victoria. I am former full-time closer turned full operator now. Very happy to be here and to share a little bit of my story and how things kind of got started for me working with Andreas.
Yes, amazing. And you're based in LA, yeah?
Yes.
Awesome. What is special about you is we got to meet in person. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Vic did come to one of our retreats where we didn't get to record the original interview. And so here we are doing virtually. But we're going to talk about Vic's journey as a closer, kind of like the progress that she made as quick as she made. She made some serious waves. And then I'd actually love to talk a little bit about how you went from closer to operator, because I think for a lot of salespeople, after being in the game for a bit, we're looking at what's the next vehicle, what's the next opportunity. Mm-hmm. So first of all, how did you find me? Because I remember you slid into my DMs, but what did you see from me that made you want to reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was one of those people who kind of got into sales and high ticket, how most women do nowadays through like an academy. And what I was doing with my Instagram page at the time was following a lot of people in the industry. Yeah, I came across your profile and I really resonated with your content. You have a Latino background, I have a Latino background, but what I really loved about your content was your just brutal honesty. And I also love that a majority of it is educational as well. And at that time, my mind was a sponge. And so kept following along. Now, I actually didn't know that you take on students and train sales. Yeah, at the time, I didn't know that. I was on an offer and I really couldn't figure out why I didn't close this guy. It was a B2B offer. Yep. And I just reached out to see if you would audit my call and give me feedback. Yep.
I remember that DM. You're like, I'm selling a 25K offer. I was like, cool, shoot me a call, see if I give you some feedback. And if you like what you see from me, maybe we work together. I remember that call review because you sent it to me. I pinpointed exactly where in your discovery. And I think I remember you texting me the next day that you closed like 2 back-to-back 25K deals.
Yes. Immediately.
Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go. And then you jumped in right after that. So because salespeople, unless you're one of those, slippery salespeople that don't like to admit their data, most salespeople that are actually good at what they do, we love numbers, we love data. I didn't actually know you were in a previous get started in high ticket program type thing. But when you found me, how long were you in high ticket for?
Yeah, I was actually in it for under a month, just a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. You find me. So you're just ramping up. And so after 3 months working together, what did you hit? Let the people know why you're
All right, guys, mind you, this stuff takes effort and I didn't sleep for the name of the game to get my reps in, to really learn from Andreas and other people in the space. And, essentially I went from clearing only maybe 3 to 5K in commissions to hitting my biggest month ever, which was a 40K commission month.
$40,000, someone's yearly salary in 1 month. And we will talk about how incredibly hard of a worker you are, because most, I don't like just saying, hey, she went from 0 to 40 grand in 3 months, without talking about everything that you've gone through, because you earned that. You absolutely earned that. But you came in, you're doing 3 to 5K. We hit that 40K month. Mm-hmm. What were some of the biggest needle movers, working with me, being coached by me, that kind of helped you get there?
Yeah. So one thing that I really learned early on was just the bare essentials, which was frameworks. But what I didn't develop, and a skill that I learned directly from Andreas, was understanding the frameworks and the
Yeah.
reason behind them, but
Mhm.
also the importance of a strong discovery.
Yeah.
Which, in sales, like everybody, whether you're selling B2B or B2C, they're looking to solve a problem. So
Yep.
essentially, you build that trust on a call, and within the first maybe 3 minutes, you'll know if they're going to close if you did a successful discovery. And that's
Yeah.
the number one thing that propelled me forward.
Yeah. Yeah. It's there. It's like there's so many sales styles, but if you miss your discovery, like you're just fighting an uphill battle no matter what you're selling.
Mhm.
Back then, what were you selling, by the way?
It was business development. So back then it was B2B, biz development. I don't know what the terminology is now, but to help creators grow. Yeah,
Okay, like help creators like scale their online business.
correct. Yes.
Cool. So it's two business owners, but it was like a new opportunity. So
Hmm.
kind of like a hybrid. Okay, cool. And what were the ticket sizes?
So I actually started selling a 15K ticket and a
Yep.
25K ticket at the same time.
Cool. Different for different offers or for the same one?
For the same offer.
For the
The same
same one. Okay.
offer.
Cool. Because I remember like let's go into the nitty gritty. Because first of all, much deserved. Like seeing you go from 3 grand to clearing 40. I remember that when you were texting me, like, bro, I'm about to clear $42,000 in comms, and I think it was like just around the second market we started to work together. But
Mhm.
you did what most people wouldn't be willing to do. Is like you worked your butt off. You sacrificed sleep. And I remember too, like as you started to get your bearings, you were on multiple accounts,
Mhm.
like and managing your calendar like a maniac,
Yep.
in the best way possible. Do you want to share a little bit about what it actually took to get there, like from your end and the effort that you put in?
Yeah, absolutely. So, number one was time management.
Hmm.
Even though I wasn't sleeping at the time, I wanted to still utilize the time that I was awake. I was awake to the utmost capacity. And so
Yeah,
I was on multiple accounts at a time because I didn't want to solely rely on like lead flow on one
yeah,
offer. And then, right. So you
hmm,
kind of want to also in the very beginning for me, like it was very important to get my reps in. I wanted to have as many avatars in front of me as possible. And so time management is number one. Number two is knowing when to walk away from an offer. So
hmm,
essentially, like if you're really full stack, you're coming into it, you're trying to set your calls if needed,
yeah,
you're all the things that it takes to be full stack, and it still isn't working, then maybe it's not you, maybe it's something else. But then again, you wouldn't know until you actually do the work to make it work, right?
yes. Until you do everything in your control,
Yeah.
which is for you guys that haven't seen it, we have this like slogan, full stack or I don't want it. And Vic was actually the one that coined that because I'm always talking about full stack and this can be like doing everything in our control. And you've taken that like, and you've run with it because I remember you being on that offer, self-setting, your follow-up game is impeccable. You're working the pipeline. You're actually doing everything of like to carry yourself as a professional and do it from the beginning. I'm curious too for you. Like I remember one of our texts back and forth where I was like, "Girl, go get some sleep because you're only like sleeping like 4 hours a day."
Mhm.
And I think it like if you're open to talking about that because in our industry, especially for newcomers that are coming in from different programs and different influencers that glorify the industry, like they think work-life balance is like, oh, I'll just work 4 or 5 calls a day, take the weekends. But you've seen firsthand that it's quite the opposite. So,
Mhm.
what did it really take from you, like in terms of discipline, in terms of mindset, to really put yourself like in a position where you're willing to sacrifice even sleep to win?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the why, right? It's
Mm,
going to be a different why for everybody. But as long as you have your why, then you're driven by passion. And then as long as you're open to learning and being receptive to feedback and investing in yourself continuously, then that actually kind of backs and drives the
mhm.
why as well. So for
Yeah,
me, I had, family obligations and my own kind of personal goals as well at the time that I was not going to quit until I, got the job done. So
yeah.
having a why is super important, but also being
Mhm.
very open to constructive criticism and like learning things that can essentially like make your time more valuable as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it could like like one, I'm really proud of you, but two, for you, like I remember, and you know, like the family stuff is always there and everything that the responsibilities that you took on, but also to still show up and like just be an absolute like weapon of a salesperson. Like, you know, because it's really easy to come into this industry and, oh, I'm just going to make all this money. But, you know, life does what life does, and like, you know,
Mhm.
throw stuff at us, and our ability to navigate those things will still like being focused on what we want to do, like financially, I think is really, it's really a test for a lot of people. I know I've gone through, and actually quite recently I've been going through a lot of things similarly.
Mhm.
Um, if you were to share, you know, to someone that maybe considering working with me, what would you say?
I would say sincerely from the bottom of my heart, if you come to the table being honest with yourself, being vulnerable with yourself, open to learning this wonderful technique that Andres has such a amazing job of teaching, like the way he teaches his students, he acclimates to his students' needs on the one-on-ones, right? Because everybody has different like learning ways and capabilities and ways of understanding thing, and that's one of his number one things that he's so very good at is acclimating to his students. And so I'd say
Mm,
come to the table prepared, but also come ready to work, because
mm,
Andreas, talks, and it's true, especially in this industry of people who think it's just going to be a one call close every time, right? That's actually the exact opposite, right? And so if you truly want to prioritize not just your earning potential, but also like your personal development, your skill development, and everything in between, and then I'd say, Andreas is the guy to work with.
thank you for that beautiful reflection. And actually, that says a lot about you too, because you came prepared. Every one-on-one session, you're like, this is what I want to work on. Or I remember you texting me beforehand, like, hey, for our upcoming one-on-one, these are the things I want to cover. And that's really what it takes. Like, it's like, hey, I know my numbers, and I'm self-aware enough to know this is my area of improvement. And then you come to a call prepared. We got so much work done.
Mhm.
Um, it's cool that one, you a few months ago you flew down to Colombia. We got to meet in person for the retreat,
Mhm.
and then now you're your own offer owner operator.
Mhm.
I'm curious, what was like the turning point for you that said, okay, I'm ready to like branch out and start my own thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So a turning point for me was, I think that it kind of comes maybe to every closer out there. Maybe I could be wrong about this, but for me, it definitely came to a point of where it's like you're essentially kind of operating at a capacity that
Hmm.
um, is a little bit more of like high caliber, but that's based off of like experience and like the reps and like not just prioritizing learning about closing, but also learning about the offer you're on. How can you generate more revenue? How can you communicate with, let's say, the people in the front end, right? Marketing people, things like that, to help you do a better job. Like, product knowledge, offer knowledge, all that is super important. So for me, it came to the point where it's just I felt that I was more valuable than a closer.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of experience and knowledge and
Yep.
services other than at closing to provide to other service based businesses or info based businesses. And prior to getting into closing around this time last year, I had a whole career in
Hmm.
nursing, and I was a program.
Hmm.
Um, oh my goodness, I forgot what. Oh, program director. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was I was a program director, and a lot of
That's
that
good.
had to do with operations. So different industry, but same kind of mindset that I have, skills that I was able to be like interchangeable with when it came to like
Yeah.
closing and things like that. So yeah, I wanted to do more outside of just closing, and seeing how my skill set that I've developed and my my core of like being of service could make a difference in other ways.
Yeah, I think that's like like what you said is like you offer more skills to businesses, and like it sounds like you also realize you kind of capped out your like what you wanted to get out of closing. Like I think some people will close for 10 years. I think you and I are very similar, very
Yes.
entrepreneurial. And once we learn the skill of closing, say, okay, how can I apply this in other higher leverage opportunities?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Which I want more people to think that way as well. What,
Mhm.
I guess we can't want everyone to be an entrepreneur, right? Um,
I know it took
but
me a little bit of an adjustment to get there.
yeah, it takes some time. I know for me, like
Experiences, yeah.
a lot of evolution, right? Like the identity of,
Yes.
being a 10K closer is a different identity than being a 30K closer. But the identity of a 30K closer is a very different than being a business owner.
Absolutely.
It's different behaviors, different decision-making processes.
Yeah.
What do you sell now? For
So
yourself?
I am a fractional COO. My offer is for 90 days. Essentially, I come in, I audit the business, see how I can help with either training a member of their team or hiring, and really setting up the business for success on the foundational level of like generating more revenue. Some people call it a growth operator, but I'm fractional. So kind of a different angle, I guess.
Yeah, that's badass. I mean, you've gone from being a closer, you're applying what you've learned, and also now the income potential is different, right? You're not just taking 10 points on a close, like you keep the 100%,
100%. Yeah.
the entire pie.
Yeah.
What are you learning now being an offer owner that maybe you didn't expect?
No, I really love this question. And guys, pay attention to this response because it's going to really help propel you to the next level. It doesn't matter what business you own, what type of entrepreneur you are, what type of service you want to give or education you want to provide. Every business at the end of the day, at the foundation, is a sales organization. Period.
Yes. Period. Mic drop. I'm gonna do a whole nother video on that specifically because that's something the founders that came out to the retreat, that's something like the reason they all make good money is because they've accepted that. Meanwhile, like when you used to sell B2B, I used to sell to business owners that wanted to go from 5K to 50K, but they resisted sales or they wanted to get out of sales as quick as possible. And there's a reason why those business owners never make more than $20,000 a month. It's just like the same pattern you see. Well, Vic, thank you for coming on. Again, so proud of you going from 4K to 40K to being an offer owner. I'm not gonna price drop because I know the prices of what you sell, and like I'm just stoked that off one sale you can make what you used to have to take 150 sales calls a month for. Is there any last words, any last words of wisdom or golden nuggets you'd like to share before you wrap up?
Yes, words of wisdom to everybody getting into high ticket. Be very patient with yourself. And then just be very open to, increasing that skill set. Invest in yourself. It's going to be the number one thing to truly give you the outcome that you're hoping to accomplish. And if you're looking into getting into sales training with Andreas wholeheartedly, just be ready to achieve those goals.
Vic, so much love for you. I can't wait to see you at the next retreat. Thanks for coming on.
Always grateful for you. Thank you.
Thanks for hanging out on Cafe is for Closers. Be sure to subscribe to the show to never miss out on a conversation. See you next time.